Hello Facebook ads people, I'm Konstantinos and today we're going to talk about the different handling that you need to have if you're running ads to different countries and all the different variables. So, I'm mentioning all of these things in several of my videos, so I thought that I could make one video just to sum up everything. First of all, we need to clarify that when you're running ads with different countries, when you're grouping them, you need to understand that the countries are actually behaving like the audiences. If an audience is huge, for example, it's a 50 million audience, and you put an audience interest, let's say interest, okay? If you put an interest of 50 million and then you put another interest of 500,000 or 1 million and you put them together in the same ad set, guess what is going to happen? Facebook is going to spend all the money on the big one. So how do we know that? We know it because when we're running CBO campaigns and we are putting single interests inside the CBO campaign, Facebook is spending the most money in each one, not inside its campaign, inside its ad set, let's say. Facebook is spending the most money on the ad sets that they have the bigger interests. So guess what is happening when you put these interests in one ad set? It's going to spend all the money towards the big audience, the one that has the most potential reach, the biggest interest, let's say. So this is very important in order for you to understand that the same is happening also with the countries. When you are having United States and you put next to it, for example, France, the thing that is going to happen is that Facebook is going to optimize towards United States. How do we know that? When we break down the results, we can see from the spend that most of the times the most money is going to be spent on the United States. It doesn't matter if the CPMs are lower on France, it doesn't matter. So, on the other hand, we have other countries, for example, when we do traffic campaigns or video view ads, for example, and when you group them together, if you put United States and you put also Turkey, India, Tunisia, Egypt, countries that they have low CPMs but very bad quality traffic, this time Facebook is spending most money there. I'm talking here about conversion ads though, and I'm talking about conversion ads that they have the top countries, okay? Not countries that they are just there so that they can mess our results because they have very cheap traffic. So when we are grouping countries that they are in the top list, okay, of good quality traffic, we should know how we group them together. First of all, as I said, United States, when you group them together, it's you should put it alone. I think you should not put it with any other country. But when you are having, for example, Europe, you can group together Germany, Austria, these countries that they are speaking also the German language, you know. Then you have France, and you can put France also with the French Quebec area. You are having other options like United Kingdom that you can put along with other countries in the same area, let's say, for example, the countries next to it, Denmark and stuff. And of course we have the languages. If you want to segment it that much, you can go and you can put different language in your copy with the different countries, and this is also another thing that you can do differently based on the country that you are targeting. So we have size, which is going to decide how you're going to group them together. The small with the small, the medium with the medium, the big with the big. Second thing that is really deciding how you're going to group countries or the different settings that you're going to have for the countries is the language. You can go with the English language. For example, I always had the perception that for Germany, for example, it would be very difficult to advertise if you don't use the German language. This is not true. I have brands that we are advertising with English copy and it's working flawlessly. Of course, I have other brands that I'm working and they put the German language and it's working. Again, test it and see if it's going to work. If you want to group them together, you have to use the English language. This is the problem of Europe actually. It's a very big market, very interesting market, but it's super fragmented and it has all of these different languages and different traditions and concepts, and its population is different and stuff in terms of their habits and so on. So number 2 is the language. Let's go for number 3. It's a time zone. Very important thing for the time zone. You have to group the countries, and I'm going to make a different video about that because I want to emphasize it based on the time zone. Because we start our ads the next day at 6 a.m. You need to group them together so that they can start in a normal time. For example, when you're putting United States and Australia, for instance, and you start your ads at the next day at 6 a.m. if you have seen my video about that, it's not okay because 6 a.m. in United States it's going to be completely different hour for Australia, and we know that for Australia it's not going to spend properly, and so on and so on. So you have to group them based on the different time zones: United States, Canada, Europe, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia. They have to be together. Japan, they have to be together. One last thing that I want to mention about the different countries and the setting is this. When you're optimizing your ads, the delayed period of reporting is different. In United States, it's much higher. We know that it can go up to 72 hours. In Australia, I have seen 48 hours max, not more than that. In Europe, it used to be 28 hours. I'm preparing also a video about manual bidding because with 24 hours it was working. Now it's getting worse. I'm seeing 48 hours even more. So try to understand based on the different countries. For example, you are running ads for United States, you are running ads for Europe, you are running ads for Australia. Try to understand what is the delay of reporting in order for you to optimize properly. If the delay is very big, you have to be more flexible into your optimization. If the delay is smaller, you can be more aggressive. Okay, try to understand that. And this is a new situation, and we have to take into consideration the delay of reporting, because the delay of reporting, it's messing up all of our optimization. These are the things that I wanted to mention about the settings that you need to have for the different countries. Of course, another thing that you need to evaluate is the lookalike audiences. The smaller the country, the smaller the lookalike audiences that you can create. Personally, I don't like to group lookalike audiences, for example, do lookalike of Germany, lookalike of France, lookalike of this, lookalike of that, and put them all together. I like to do lookalikes for each country differently, okay, in a different campaign. Separately, in a different campaign. I guess that's all I had for you about the different countries and how you run ads to them. Don't forget that if you want to learn more about Facebook ads, you can check my book or my course. And until we meet again, guys, be creative and be consistent.